Hello, friends. What do you get when your city has more gods than public fountains? Ancient Rome, of course. Religion in Rome wasn't something you did once a week. It was something you lived. Every meal, every march, every vote in the Senate began with a glance to the heavens or a prayer whispered to some divine power. For the Romans, the gods weren't far away. They were right there, in the kitchen, in the marketplace, and definitely in your business. As the river carries me onward, I imagine the city buzzing with divine activity. Romans didn't just worship gods, they practically employed them. There was a god for doors, Janus, for boundaries, Terminus, for the sewer system, Cloacina, even one for mildew. Yes, mildew. The gods were like an overstaffed divine bureaucracy, and Romans loved paperwork. The heart of Roman religion was pietas, duty to the gods, the family, and the state. Skip a ritual? That wasn't just rude, it was dangerous. A missed sacrifice could offend the gods, trigger disaster, and bring your neighbors angrily knocking, asking, "Who forgot to sacrifice to Jupiter this morning?" Speaking of Jupiter, he was the king of the gods, wielder of thunder, punisher of oathbreakers, and a major fan of victory parades. His temple on the Capitoline Hill was the spiritual epicenter of Rome. If a general came home victorious, he'd head straight there, offering spoils and sacrifices to prove that Rome's glory came with divine approval. But the Romans weren't exclusive in their worship. Conquer a new land? Meet a new god? No problem, just add them to the list. Greek gods? Adopted, renamed, and rebranded. Zeus became Jupiter, Aphrodite became Venus, and Hermes turned into Mercury, a clever god of trade and messages, which says a lot about Roman priorities. Ritual was everything. Words had to be said exactly right. Actions had to be precise. If a priest sneezed mid-ceremony, they'd start over from scratch. Sacrifices were common, not for forgiveness, but for favor. Want rain? Ask the gods. Planning a war? Ask again. Building a road? Still asking. And who did all this asking? Well, priests and augurs, of course. Official interpreters of divine will. Augurs watched the flight of birds to determine if the gods approved. A left-turning crow? Bad news. A soaring eagle? That's more like it. Important decisions, elections, declarations of war, could be postponed if the sky wasn't cooperating. But religion wasn't just a state affair. It lived in the home too. Every Roman household had a shrine for the lares and penes, the spirits of the household and pantry. Yes, the pantry had gods. Every meal began with a small offering. Family, food, and faith, always together. Over time, as Rome's borders expanded, its religious landscape grew more colorful. Eastern cults brought mystery and emotion. Isis from Egypt, Mithras from Persia, and others offered intense rituals and promises of the afterlife. These new beliefs spread like wildfire, especially among the poor and the soldiers, those looking for hope beyond the gods of the Forum. But even as temples grew taller and ceremonies grander, something fascinating remained: the everyday Roman, juggling duties, prayers, and expectations. Religion wasn't just for priests or senators, it was for everyone. In public, in private, in peace and war, gods walked with them, unseen but always present. And while the Senate passed laws and generals won battles, it was often the quiet rituals of daily life. The whispered prayers, the incense in the kitchen, the offerings at dawn, that shaped the rhythm of Roman living. And speaking of rhythm, in that world of gods and generals, there were also those who shaped life in quieter, often overlooked ways. Not with thunder or temples, but with resilience, work, and silent strength. Let's just say, next time, we follow the footsteps of those who never wore a laurel wreath, but carried Rome on their shoulders all the same.